Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic.com, back again with another massive news update. First of all, we have news of a rumoured storyline that sort of may or may not happen. It didn't really happen this week on Raw, could potentially happen going ahead into the future, but it's a really weird one, so see what you think of that. Also some news of a rumoured finish to a massive Survivor Series match as well, and finally some news on the Mixed Match Challenge to round things off. So let's waste no further time and let's crack into all of the news. So our first piece of news comes courtesy of WrestleVotes, a Twitter account that it's sometimes hard to trust Twitter accounts rather than like more legitimate or recognized news sources out there, especially when it comes to wrestling news where rumors and speculation are absolutely rife. But in the case of WrestleVotes, they have broken one or two things in the past, so maybe we should pay attention to what they've said. So WrestleVotes have claimed that apparently there was going to be an invasion storyline recently, in fact on last night's Raw, which was eventually nixed for whatever reason, we don't really know why, but that story would have involved a repeat of last year's Under Siege storyline where the SmackDown superstars invaded Raw, beat everyone down and really caught the red brand by surprise. But this year, someone would have tipped off Raw and they'd have been ready and waiting. This would have then led to some sort of like secret informant / mole storyline where Shane McMahon would be looking for who the rat was in the SmackDown locker room, who told Raw that they were about to come under fire from SmackDown. I think this is a really interesting idea. I'm quite sad that it didn't pan out quite that way, but at the same time, if it had happened, then we wouldn't have had that awesome Becky Lynch visual with all the blood running down her face from last night. So, swings and roundabouts, I guess. But this is definitely something they could revisit going forwards. I guess they couldn't use it in a Survivor Series context, but I like the idea of like a traitor hidden amongst the ranks of one of the brands. I really enjoy that. So I've just thought of some potential suspects that could do such a thing. If it had happened, for instance, my number one suspect would have been The Miz, because it just seems like a Miz sort of thing to do. Also, Shane kind of stole his thunder at Crown Jewel in the final. Although The Miz was injured, but you could sort of spin that into a reason for Miz to want to get one over on Shane, or maybe hoping that Daniel Bryan would be injured in the attack on Raw, or something along those lines. Also, maybe someone like Asuka or Andrade Cien Almas, a former NXT great who's frustrated that SmackDown hasn't been quite the land of opportunities that they thought it would have been when they first joined the brand. And my final suspect will be John Laurinaitis sending a text to himself and then something to do with John Laurinaitis. Seems like a bit of a John Laurinaitis thing to do, doesn't it? Moving on now to Survivor Series itself, which of course takes place this Sunday. And over on The Observer, Dave Meltzer has been speculating about the finish to a potential match. I must warn you that you might not want to hear this because it sounds a little bit spoilery, even though it is just speculation. But then again, when Meltzer speculates something, it does tend to carry a little bit more weight than if it was just like a random person online speculating. He does have his sources and he is quite a credible, source of information. So I guess we might need to take this one a little bit seriously. So if you don't want to know, just be very careful for what I'm about to say. So Meltzer seems to think that the end of the Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey match, the SmackDown Women's Champion going up against the Raw Women's Champion, will end due to interference from Charlotte Flair, but she won't be helping Ronda Rousey defeat her nemesis Becky Lynch. She'll be helping Becky Lynch defeat Ronda Rousey. This could apparently then lead into the whole 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen feud that we've heard about for so long, ever since the 4 horsewomen started cropping up at those Mae Young Classic tapings to support Shayna Baszler. So that was even before Ronda Rousey had officially joined the company and all the rest of it. That feud would of course see the 4 horsewomen of MMA, so that's Jessamyn Duke, Marina Shafir, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, against the 4 horsewomen of the WWE, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, Bayley and Charlotte Flair herself. Now that would be a very interesting way to go about it. I think that I'm a little bit skeptical just because I don't see WWE handing Ronda Rousey her first loss in this way. They could maybe see it work out where Charlotte interferes and that causes a no contest which leads to the feud or something like that, but I don't think that Becky's going to win. As much as I'd love to see Becky win on Sunday, I just can't see WWE booking it that way. And finally yesterday, WWE announced that the winners of the Mixed Match Challenge will receive the number 30 spot in both the men's and women's Royal Rumble. Not only that, but they will also receive an all expenses paid holiday, a vacation off to some destination. That's got to lead into a storyline, hasn't it? They can't just be giving them a kayfabe holiday and going, off you go, whoever's going to win, I don't know, AJ and Charlotte, have a nice time in the Bahamas. That must lead to a storyline somewhere. Maybe we'll see the Shining Stars come back from Puerto Rico. Who knows what's going to happen? It's a strange one, isn't it? Because a lot of people have kicked off already online saying like, oh, the Royal Rumble deserves to be treated more seriously than this. And I can see both sides of the argument. On one side, it's only the number 30 spot, and it's been a while since we've really seen number 30 please the fans. We've had Ziggler at 30, which didn't go down that well. We've had Reigns at 30, which didn't go down that well at all at the time. So I don't know if this is maybe a better way of introducing who's going to be number 30. It doesn't always have to be a surprise. Historically, sometimes we'd know ahead of time who 30 was going to be. I seem to remember Rikishi was 30 once, and everyone knew that was going to happen. So I can kind of see why they've done this, but at the same time, I do agree with people who want to keep the Royal Rumble on a higher platform than a sort of C show in the form of the Mixed Match Challenge. But it is interesting because it could give us a clue as to who's going to win the Mixed Match Challenge. The favourites, in my opinion, are Styles and Charlotte Flair. But now, with this new Royal Rumble tie-in, I don't know if Styles is going to be on the winning team, because as WWE Champion, would he then benefit from being awarded the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble, the match that he's presumably not even going to enter? Does this mean that if they do win the Mixed Match Challenge, that Styles is going to lose the title before Royal Rumble? To be fair, that's not to say that another team could simply win the Mixed Match Challenge. I think the other favourites, in my opinion, are probably Braun Strowman and Ember Moon. On the other hand, you could say that The Miz and Asuka, although they did win last year, and I can't really see them giving it to them twice in a row. But I do find it interesting that if Styles and Charlotte do win, then we'd realistically expect AJ to have dropped the belt before the Royal Rumble match. And if so, who would he drop it to? The only two I can really think of at the moment are Daniel Bryan, who has already lost to AJ Styles on SmackDown prior to Crown Jewel, and The Miz, who again blew his chance at the belt when he lost to Daniel Bryan in Australia in that number 1 contenders match. So a lot to think about there. Make sure you leave your thoughts, opinions, speculation and all the rest of it in the comments section down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. I've been Jack from Cultaholic.com. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can do @JackTheJobber. You can follow all of us at Cultaholic and check out our Patreon too, patreon.com/Cultaholic. And never forget, of course, if you haven't already, to hit subscribe and to join us.